Imagine you are seated at a grand mahogany table, the air thick with the scent of lilies and roasted game. You reach for your silver salad fork, but your heart skips a beat. Why? Because in the world of the British monarchy, a single mistake with your silverware isn't just a social blunder. It is an invitation to have your dinner confiscated before you have even taken a second bite. Most of us imagine being royal as the easiest job in the world, filled with endless bank accounts and world-class cuisine, but the truth is that every mealtime is a high-stakes psychological battle of etiquette. You see, the British royals do not even use forks the way the rest of the world does. Forget about stabbing your food like a hungry commoner. To dine with the Windsors, you must hold your fork firmly in your left hand and your knife in your right. But here is the catch: you do not pierce the food. Instead, you must delicately push your peas, potatoes, or meat onto the back of your fork and balance it perfectly before bringing it to your mouth. It is a feat of coordination as much as it is a rule of politeness. Darren McGrady, who served as a personal chef for over 11 years, recalls the intense atmosphere of these formal gatherings. He would often describe the precision required, noting that the staff were trained to look for specific visual cues that most guests would never even notice. He once remarked that as soon as the royal family sat down, a silent clock began to tick for everyone else in the room. If you need to take a break to sip your water or share a word with the Duke sitting next to you, do not just drop your tools on the side. You are expected to cross your knife and fork carefully in the center of the plate. This is the silent code that says, "I am not finished yet, so do not touch my food." If you fail to do this, or if you accidentally place them at an angle with the handles toward the bottom right side of the plate, prepare for a shock. That position is the universal signal for, "I am done." The footmen, moving like silent shadows, will whisk your plate away in an instant, even if it is still half full. There are no second chances, and there is certainly no asking for the plate to be brought back once it has left the room. Before we reveal the one person who actually controls how fast you have to chew, tell me in the comments, what is the most stressful dinner you have ever attended? If you are enjoying these royal secrets, hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of curious minds for more deep dives. Utensil etiquette is only the first layer of this complicated puzzle. While you are worrying about the position of your fork, there is someone else at the table who holds your entire meal in the palm of their hand. Did you know that your actual hunger or how much you paid for the ticket does not matter at all? Everything, and I mean everything, depends on the timing of just one person. Stick around, because next, we are diving into the hidden signals and the one person who can end your dinner with a single, subtle move of their purse. While you are busy mastering the art of balancing peas on the back of your fork, a much more pressing concern is unfolding right at the head of the table. You see, at a royal banquet, your stomach is not the one in charge, the Queen's stomach is. There is an unwritten absolute rule that has governed British state dinners for decades. When the monarch finishes her meal, the meal is over for everyone. It does not matter if you are a slow eater, a talkative guest, or even a world leader. Once the Queen puts down her knife and fork, a silent signal is sent to an army of footmen waiting in the wings. Former royal chef Darren McGrady recalls how this precision worked behind the scenes. He described a scene where, as soon as the Queen finished her first course, the staff would immediately begin clearing the table. Imagine the sheer panic of a guest who has only managed 2 bites of a world-class steak, only to watch their plate vanish into thin air because they were too busy making polite conversation. One staff member once recounted a story of a dignitary who was mid-sentence, fork halfway to his mouth, when a footman stepped in and whisked the plate away. He was left staring at an empty tablecloth, still chewing on air. The message was clear. If you are dining with the Queen, you had better eat quickly. But how do you know when the end is near? The secret lies in a small, seemingly ordinary accessory: her purse. Most of the time, the Queen's handbag is tucked away on a discreet hook she carries to hang beneath the table. However, if you see that purse move from the hook and be placed firmly on top of the table, your time has officially run out. This is the ultimate death knell for a dinner party. It is a silent command, signifying that she wants the entire event to come to a conclusion within the next 5 minutes. It is a masterclass in subtle authority, no shouting, no bells, just the simple placement of a bag to signal the end of the night. This absolute control over the room creates an atmosphere where every second counts and every movement is calculated. But the Queen's influence is so powerful that it does not just affect those sitting at her table. Her presence carries a weight that can literally stop time in other parts of the palace as well. If you think the dining room is intense, wait until you hear what happens when she decides to take a walk toward the heat of the kitchen. Imagine a world where a burning oven is less important than a royal bow, Because next, we are stepping into the heart of the palace where even the crackle of a frying pan must fall silent the moment she appears. You might imagine a professional kitchen as a place of controlled chaos, clattering pans, shouting orders, and the constant hiss of steam. But inside the royal kitchen, there is a rule of silence and stillness that would terrify even the most seasoned Michelin star chef. In this world, the quality of the food is actually secondary to the presence of the sovereign. When the Queen decided to take a walk through the culinary quarters to see what was on the menu, the entire operation did not just slow down, it came to a complete, grinding halt. Former royal chef Darren McGrady often spoke about the intense discipline required during these moments. He described a protocol that sounds more like a military drill than meal preparation. The moment the monarch stepped into the room, every single chef was required to move their pans off the heat immediately. It did not matter if a sauce was at the perfect simmering point or if a steak was seconds away from being overcooked. Once the pans were safe, every member of the staff had to take exactly 3 steps back from their stations, stand perfectly straight, and bow. Imagine the psychological torture of being a chef in that position. One staff member once recounted the inner turmoil of standing at attention while a tray of delicate pastries sat in the oven. In their mind, they could hear the crusts becoming too brittle. They could almost smell the sugar beginning to burn. But according to the rules, you cannot move until the Queen has finished her questions and exited the room. You stand there, smiling politely and answering, "Yes, Your Majesty," while your hard work literally turns to ash just 5 feet away from you. Only after she leaves can the kitchen resume, leaving the chefs to perform a miracle to save a dinner that has been sitting in limbo. This absolute devotion to protocol over practicality shows that the palace is, first and foremost, a house of tradition. Every action is a gesture of respect, even if it means a slightly charred dinner. However, the Queen's influence on what happens in the kitchen goes far beyond her physical presence. It reaches deep into the pantry, where certain everyday items, things you likely have in your kitchen right now, are strictly persona non grata. In the royal world, some of the most common ingredients are seen as a threat to national diplomacy. Can you guess which staple vegetables are completely banned from the palace walls to protect the royal family from a social disaster? Imagine living in a world where you could never enjoy the savory aroma of garlic or the zesty crunch of an onion. For the British royal family, this is not just a preference, it is an unofficial law of diplomacy. While most of us consider these ingredients the foundation of a good meal, they are strictly persona non grata at the palace. Camilla, the Queen consort, once confirmed this during an appearance on MasterChef Australia. When asked about the forbidden ingredients, she admitted that garlic is a total no-no. She explained that when you are constantly meeting world leaders and leaning in for close conversations, the last thing you want is for your breath to make a stronger impression than your diplomatic skills. It is a sacrifice made for the sake of public service, ensuring that every royal encounter remains as fresh and polite as possible. However, what they lack in garlic, they certainly make up for in their bizarre and highly specific obsession with eggs. To the royals, an egg is not just breakfast. It is a precision-engineered event. For King Charles, the secret to a perfect morning lies in the timing. His former chef revealed that there was one unbreakable rule. His eggs had to be boiled for exactly 4 minutes. Not a second more, not a second less. There is even a famous story that because the timing is so critical, the kitchen would sometimes boil several batches of eggs at once, just to ensure that at least one reached the king at the absolute peak of its 4-minute perfection. This royal fascination with eggs goes back centuries. Queen Victoria, perhaps the most iconic figure of the 19th century, used to eat her boiled eggs from a solid gold cup with a solid gold spoon. It is perhaps the most extravagant way possible to consume such a humble food. In more recent years, Queen Elizabeth II maintained her own quirky standard, always preferring brown eggs over white ones. She was convinced that brown eggs simply tasted better, proving that even a monarch has those small personal superstitions that make them human. But once the plates are cleared and the eggs are finished, it is time for the most famous British ritual of all, tea. You might think you know how to hold a teacup, but if you have ever been told to stick your pinky finger out to look fancy, you have been falling for a common myth. In fact, that tiny gesture could make you look completely unworthy of the royal table. Do you know the exact 3-finger grip required to avoid a royal scandal? Stay tuned, because the rules of the tea ceremony are far more intense than you think. If you think sticking your pinky finger out while sipping tea makes you look like a duke or duchess, you couldn't be more wrong. In the world of high society etiquette, that tiny gesture is actually considered a major social blunder, a sign of someone trying far too hard to look posh. At a royal tea ceremony, The rules are so precise that even the way you move your wrist can determine whether you are fit to sit with the king. To hold a teacup correctly, you must pinch the top of the handle with your thumb and index finger, while your middle finger supports the bottom of the handle. The other two fingers? They are tucked neatly into the palm of your hand. It is a subtle, controlled grip that signals true breeding, but the complexity starts long before the cup reaches your lips. There is an age-old debate in Britain, milk first or tea first. For the royal family, the answer is unwavering. The tea always goes in first. This allows the host to judge the exact strength and color of the brew before a splash of milk is added. And once that milk is in, do not even think about stirring in a circular motion. Creating a whirlpool in your cup is seen as clumsy. Instead, you must move your spoon in a gentle, back-and-forth motion from the 6 o'clock position to 12 o'clock, making sure you never, ever touch the sides of the delicate porcelain. This is where the silent penalties come into play. In a royal setting, silence is the ultimate gold standard. If your silver spoon makes a clink against the teacup, or if you make a faint clack when placing your cup back onto its saucer, you have essentially failed the test. And slurping? That is the ultimate sin. One former staffer once joked that the sound of a guest slurping their Earl Grey was enough to make the room go cold. No one will ever point out your mistake that would be rude, but you might find that your invitation to the next garden party mysteriously never arrives. It all sounds incredibly stiff and exhausting, doesn't it? Living a life where every sip of tea and every movement of a spoon is under a microscope. You might find yourself wondering if these people ever get a break from the theater of it all. Is it possible for a prince or a queen to ever just relax? Well, behind the heavy oak doors of their private quarters, away from the cameras and the world leaders, the silver spoons are sometimes traded for something much more surprising. You won't believe what the world's most powerful family eats when they finally kick off their shoes and dismiss the servants. After all the talk about golden spoons and the crushing pressure of 4-minute eggs, you might be surprised to learn that the grand dining halls are not always the center of the royal home. When the cameras are off and the public duties are done, the fancy is stripped away in a manner that is almost shocking. Former royal chef Carolyn Robb once pulled back the curtain on what happens when the heavy oak doors are finally closed. In those quiet, private moments, the rigid protocols vanish. Imagine a Prince of Wales, or even the Queen herself, sitting in a comfortable armchair, eating a simple meal from a tray, right in front of a crackling fireplace. No 10-piece cutlery sets, no silent footmen watching every move. Just a family enjoying a simple roast chicken, or even something as humble as fish fingers. The younger royals, in particular, were known for breaking the mold. Long before they were global icons, the princes were known to wander into the palace kitchen themselves. They would not wait for a 5-course meal to be served by staff. Instead, they would push their way in to whip up a bowl of spaghetti, just like any other hungry teenager. It is a jarring but heartwarming image. The most famous heirs in the entire world, standing over a boiling pot of pasta, perhaps arguing over who gets the last serving, while the world outside imagines them dining on caviar. This bizarre mix of high-end tradition and humble reality is perhaps most evident during the holiday season. For generations, the royals have gifted Christmas puddings to their entire staff, a tradition started by King George V that involves giving out over 1,500 puddings every December. For decades, these were sourced from Fortnum & Mason, the ultra-luxurious royal grocer, where a single jar of jam can cost a fortune. But recently, a surprising shift occurred. The royals began shopping at Tesco, a budget-friendly supermarket. It is a bit like finding out a billionaire buys their holiday cakes at a local discount store. They still enjoy the wild game they hunt themselves on their vast estates, but they are not above a bargain when it comes to maintaining their traditions. Ultimately, being a royal is not just about the rigid protocols or the constant fear of a misplaced fork. It is a delicate, lifelong balancing act. On one side, they are the living embodiments of history and duty, bound by rules that seem impossible for a normal person to follow. But on the other side, they are a family that craves the same simple comforts we all do: a warm fire, a home-cooked meal, and a moment of peace away from the world's prying eyes. So, which version of the royal family surprises you more, the one with the golden spoons or the one eating fish fingers on a tray? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into the secret world of the royal kitchen fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another episode. Thank you for watching,